So if you have a pen and paper, yes, sorry, the old-fashioned way would be good for you, because otherwise, I mean, unless you have a brain, well, better memory than myself, this is a little bit of maths involved here, right? So you need to really learning and have it clear, so then you can formulate your soap, okay, and take it from there. A soap basically happen because of a chemistry reaction between an alkaline substance and an oil, right? Which is a base, an acid. Okay, this is basically how I would explain this to a 5-year-old. Okay, this substance with this, you mix it, you create soap, right? Sodium hydroxide is an alkaline substance. I have sunflower oil, it can be many other oils, hundreds of oils or butters you can use, and it creates a soap. Now, sodium hydroxide is, and I put it here like that, just to the caustic soda, is what you know as caustic soda. Now, when you buy this ingredient, you have to be very careful that whatever, if it say caustic soda or say any other name, and you kind of not sure, you go and read the back of the tub or the bottle, whatever you are. I think Woodies, you can go to Woodies or Walmart, and it has to say sodium hydroxide as an ingredient, nothing else. Okay, don't get confused with, there's another product there called soda crystals, if I remember well, or whatever soda. No, it has to be sodium hydroxide. I don't really care what it says on the front, because this happened in so many products out there. They can say whatever commercial name, but then you need to make sure that it's sodium hydroxide, which is the chemical formula. Well, the chemical symbol is NaOH, sodium hydroxide. So this is essential to make soap. And then we have oils, okay? Any type of oils. Now, so your question will be already, okay, and how do I know the quantities? How do I mix that together? Okay, so we need to dissolve sodium hydroxide in water. Okay, because this sodium hydroxide is like a granule. You will see now when I start making the soap. Sodium is like a granulate. It's like a sugar or salt, but don't eat it. Of course not. This is okay, and I will explain of the safety, of course, which is essential. This is highly corrosive substance, right? We have to use distilled water or deionized water. Okay, so not tap water and not any other type of water like bottled water. Distilled water, deionized water. We make a solution with the sodium hydroxide dissolving in this water, right? I'm just explaining to you so you can just see very, very basic process. So this solution, which is also called lye, sorry, I forgot to say they also call lye. Lye, people say call the sodium hydroxide lye. Sodium hydroxide is a type of lye. Well, if you say only lye, it can be other type of lye. Okay, it can be potassium hydroxide, and we're not using that today. Okay, that's a different type of soap. So we better call sodium hydroxide or caustic soda, whatever is easier for you. So again, we have this solution and we pour it in the oil blend. I say blend because you can make a soap with one oil that I'm going to show you later, or you can use many oils all together, or butters as well, because butters are oil in solid, they are solid oil in room temperature, solid form of an oil, but they are chemically oil, right? Now, repeating again, we did 3 products basic. I'm teaching you the level, foundation level to make soap. So I like to start from from zero, okay? And this is the most basic soap you can make. is water, sodium hydroxide, olive oil. Okay. Now, I was going to start with the quantities, okay, because it's a big question. Of course, people, they make it soap, it doesn't happen, doesn't work. Maybe I put too much sodium hydroxide, too much oil. Okay, so if you know how to calculate it, that won't happen anymore. Okay, so and you will know how to formulate. So basically, every type of oil has a saponification value. I'm going to repeat saponification. Saponification is the process where the alkaline system plus the acid, the base substance, create the soap. Saponification comes from soap, okay? So saponification process happens when the two substances are together. But every oil has a saponification value exact that tells you how much of sodium hydroxide you will need for that oil to happen that reaction, saponification, and to make the soap. So now we have Google, so it's great. So can you spell saponification? Right. I spell it here. Good. Saponification. Okay, saponification. All right. So saponification value. Nowadays is very easy because you go to Google, type saponification value, olive oil for sodium hydroxide. Okay. Very important that you put the sodium hydroxide, otherwise it will give you a different saponification value, right? Because you are using this type of lye. Okay? So it will tell you this. It will tell you that the saponification value of olive oil is this funny number here, 0.136. So what you need to do is you multiply, don't worry, I'm going to show you on the screen. And you need to multiply the amount of oil that you're going to use. I'm going to use the first soap I'm going to make just a small one as a sample. So to show you this in a practical way. 100 grams, sorry, everything in grams, right? Grams, always grams. You need a digital weight scale. Forget about spoons, cups, milliliters, but no, we don't work in volume, we work in grams, always weigh in grams. So you need a digital scale. So 100 grams of olive oil, sorry, I'm going to put it here, olive oil, so it's clear. Multiply 0.136, it gives me 14 or maybe 13 point something. But okay, forget about the decimal, okay, for the moment. So that means that I need this amount of sodium hydroxide. Is everyone following? Because I feel like a school teacher here, right? When you have a different type of oil, sunflower oil, avocado oil, castor oil, coconut oil, you name it, hundreds, beautiful oils, okay, to make soap. Butter, shea butter, coconut butter, I said already, cocoa butter, mango butter, cupuaçu butter, many other butters or oils. You go and do the same. Google saponification value for coconut butter and any oil you're going to use, find the saponification value, multiply the quantity that you're using, you have the quantity of the sodium hydroxide, right? How much is lye we need in the water? That's the second thing I'm going to explain. Normally, the ratio of lye, okay, sodium hydroxide to water is 1 to 2. That's read like this. There's 1 part of sodium hydroxide 2 parts of water. So how much water do we need? So, and this is roughly, don't worry, I'm going to explain more because this is a guideline, okay? This can be up and down, but it's just to have an idea, okay? Roughly of water, okay? So do you see that already you have the basics to formulate, to create a soap? Now, I believe that someone is asking or wondering, what if you are using more oils, like olive oil in a soap? Olive oil, let's say avocado, coconut, shea butter, whatever. That's the second soap I'm going to make later, so you will see how it works. It's the same. You multiply by each saponification value of every oil, and then just add the total up, and there you have it. Okay? Now, coming back to the ratio, before I forget, okay, I'm going to say NaOH, 1 to 2 water. Another way to read this, if you're not understanding maybe the ratio, is basically it will be 33% of 67 in percentage, which are very, very important when you make cosmetics or any other type of product, percentage. So basically it will be 33% of water and 33% of sodium hydroxide, 67 water. That's more or less, little bit up and down depending what soap you're making, but that way you are more advanced. You can move this around and everything. That would be the solution. Okay, is that clear? One thing happened now, talking in the practical term, in practicality. We do all this calculation. I'm actually here, I'm going to make that soap as I'm explaining, so you see exactly how that soap is made. What happened with this soap that I'm going to make is one thing, that all the sodium hydroxide will react with all the oil, and you will end up with a soap that is really harsh for the skin. And that is the soap, actually I put it here, give me a second. That will be what I call a cleaning soap, right? A laundry or cleaning soap. That's how my mother and my grandmother in Spain, they used to make soap when they were, very poor family. You reuse the oil from cooking. As you know, with Spanish, we use olive oil for everything. And they would just mix it with water and caustic soda and make soap. Now, this is the soap that I'm just explaining to you. This is the soap that I made with this calculation. This soap is great for cleaning. It's very high alkaline. The pH is really, really high. And you don't want to put this on your skin because your skin is going to left like a sandpaper, right? It's not good. This will be good for cleaning, and I make it really nice, but it's for cleaning, I just decorated a little bit with sea salt, with the Himalayan salt, just to differentiate from all the soaps. So I know this one is the cleaning one. That's why I want to teach you the cleaning one, so it helps you to learn the whole concept of saponification, making a very basic soap, ancient soap to clean. And the good thing is, for cleaning purposes, you can reuse oil. So this oil, I've been cooking with that oil. And instead of to put it to discard it, okay, and contaminate the environment or the pipes or whatever, what I did, I filtered, of course, and the best filter, believe it or not, is this, a sock, okay, clean sock, of course, and you put in the jar, okay, and then you filter, and your oil will be absolutely clean. Can you see this? Completely clear, right? Don't worry about the smell of the oil, because the smell is not going to stick in the soap. It's not possible, with the reaction of sodium hydroxide. So this is the soap you will get with the first basic recipe calculation that I just showed you. Now, how we make a soap for the skin? Okay, easy. We start tweaking the calculation. All right. How do we do that? Doing a super fatting. I'm going to put it here. Super fatting means that you discount the quantity. I'm going to okay, here to circle. You discount the quantity of sodium hydroxide in your calculation here. When you just get your total, what you do is, let's say, discount 5%. That's called 5% super fatting. By discounting the quantity of sodium hydroxide, you are let me just explain this clear. When you discount the amount of sodium hydroxide, you are allowing that 5% of oils is not going to react to sodium hydroxide, because there's no sodium hydroxide for the oil to react. So the soap will get much more moisturizing and more emollient, because you are leaving out oils in the soap without saponification reaction. This has to be it's very important you understand this. You can work and up to, there are some people, some soap makers more fresh, more experienced, and you can work until 20, up to 20, if you want to make a really nice soothing soap. Let's say for a very delicate skin, dry skin, a baby. I made a baby soap for a friend. I used 20% super fatting. But of course, when you are leaving 20% of oils without not reacting, you have to maybe calculate a little bit less water, because otherwise the soap will be very soft. And because we're getting into now that you are understanding the basic calculations, what happened is that we all want to come out with a beautiful bar with the 5 properties that you want the soap, okay, to have, which are, you want the soap creamy, you want the soap hard enough, because otherwise it will get mushy in your shower or in your sink after you use it a few times. You don't want that. You want, I said creamy already, bubbles. You want bubbles, you want lather, you want conditioning, of course, because what you need to not forget all the time, every time you make soap, but when you're calculating, formulating, you become more creative, is that the soap is high alkaline. Cold processed soap is high alkaline. So that's why I don't recommend to use that soap on your hair. Okay, there's a lot of brands out there selling shampoo bars made from cold processed soap. That is not, in my opinion, personal and professional opinion, is not good for the hair at all. This soap is really, really high like 8 or 9. High pH is not good for the hair or for the skin. But we counteract that harshness, that pH with super fatting, right? But of course, if you do a super fatting on the soap, if you use it on the hair, your hair is going to be like horrible. You're putting oils in your hair, so you're not clean. So it doesn't work, really. This soap is for body and hands. It's up to you if you want to use it on your face. It's your skin. It's your decision on what you want to use. I wouldn't use this type of soap on your face if your skin is normal or dry. I would only maybe use it in a very oily skin, maybe acne, maybe, I don't know, as a very healing, try a little bit. That's up to you. I'm not a dermatologist, okay? I'm just telling you how the knowledge about the soap the technical knowledge about the soap, and then you use it in the way you like. Okay. So this is the super fatting is the second soap I will make. I'm going to start putting more ingredients, and it's going to it's a recipe with super fatting, and the water is more or less a third. I think it's a little bit higher, maybe it's a 38%. Okay, because I use a soap calculator. That would be my ebook, a soap calculator which is digital. That is amazing. I cannot stress enough how amazing it is to use a calculator, because we can just create really professional soap without making all this. Imagine if the soap is wrong at the end or didn't work out, and you have to make the soap again, the formula again. Anyway, I explain that a little bit more about that later. Okay, so the second soap, I'm going to use olive oil, castor oil, and coconut. Now, coconut oil and castor oil in particular are specifically good and kind of must oils in a soap because of two reasons. The coconut oil adds hardness to the bath, right? As well as cleansing properties. And the castor oil, it gives bubbles. So you remember the 5 properties I said, you have already ticked 2 with castor oil and coconut. So those 2 are really good, particularly when you are formulating soap, because many other oils like sunflower, olive oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, and many other hazelnut, you name it, they won't give hardness to the soap. They will be, of course, they will be emollient, they will be conditioning. Okay, so find an oil that gives condition to the soap is quite easy. Any oil, really. Okay, and you don't need expensive oil to make a soap. I need hardness, hardness to be hard. Okay, technically, that every oil will give different properties to the soap. And if you're making, like for example, the first soap I'm going to make is this one, shea butter will give a hardness. Yes, absolutely. And shea butter actually, now that you mentioned, shea butter is amazing actually the second soap I'm going to use, why I got confused with another, I have so many recipes, that's why. I will use shea butter, okay, in the second soap. It adds hardness, but coconut oil it will give more. So that's why you have to play with quantities and everything. Sorry, coming back to the basic olive oil soap that I'm going to make with reusing the oil, okay, because I would like that you experience this as a first soap. Because the olive oil, or even the sunflower, is the same situation. It won't give you hardness. You will notice that you won't be able to unmold it after 2 days, which is the normal standard procedure in any soap. It's much softer, so you need longer, okay? And it will take longer to cure. Why? It's a very primitive soap. So in those old times, okay, and in the old times, of course, they didn't have digital calculator, or many oils, or all the resources we have. It actually even made soap with animal fat because it will add hardness. But basically, the curing period, everything, I'm going to explain all that when I'm making, because I don't want to be short of time. I'm just checking the time. So I'm going to, as I said, this is sunflower oil. It's not olive oil. It actually has a very similar saponification value. If I remember well, olive oil is 0.136, sunflower is 0.135, which is really, it's a decimal, okay? But make sure when you formulate that you different soap with more oils and everything. This one is quite straightforward. So it's great for you to practice. I always say, when you learn something, learn from the beginning, from zero. because that's how you're going to build up knowledge and practice. Don't try and make a wonderful soap with 10 colors, you know, and 15 ingredients. It's just, it's not, it doesn't work like that. Always learn from zero. So digital scale, okay, with increments of 1 gram, you need a digital scale that's minimum weight 1 gram. Okay, I'm going to get up. I start making which is great when you have, actually when you have even rancid oils that are going to, or already expired, you know, rancid, they smell a little bit off. It's great to make cleaning soaps. Okay, actually this cleaning soap, you can actually grate it and put it in the washing machine. There you go. So again, use sunflower, water, caustic soda. Now, something really, really essential before I start weighing anything. I put the oil here because it will be better to pour to weigh. I'm going to move the camera a little bit. If you don't see my face, it doesn't matter. The more important thing is that you see what I'm going to start doing. Right? Windows open. I have window open already. Beautiful sunny day. My apron, even that I'm wearing, you know, I would suggest to wear old clothes and just in case of spillage or anything. Okay. And goggles, very, very important. Mask. Okay. And I even put the mask here on my nose and put the goggles on top. Okay. The hazard of the sodium hydroxide, well, it's a hazard. What I forgot to explain, and no one has asked me, which normally everyone asks me in the workshops, is how we're going to make a soap that has sodium hydroxide. Is it corrosive? Well, the sodium hydroxide converts the oils in a salt. Okay, so the olive oil will be converted after the curing period. It will convert to sodium olivate, and coconut oil will be sodium cocoate. So the sodium hydroxide won't remain in the soap after the curing period. That's why we can use it on the skin, right? When you're pregnant, no, you can't. You just have to wait until you have your baby and of course your baby and pets and children out of the room. Okay, so this is quite very easy peasy, right? I'm going to make the first recipe, and if you don't have it already, it's 100 grams of, I'm making with sunflower, but olive oil is more or less the same. I'm going to put it here. Tare to 0, put the jar. Tare to 0 the weight scale, then I put 100. I'm going just to make just a small soap. It's just for you to have to. Now, I overpour it a little bit. When you overpour an ingredient, you don't touch the weight scale. You just go, lift, put it back a little bit, and then put it back again in the weight scale. Don't touch the weight scale at all. The weight scale has a memory. Okay, so you can do that, but if you touch it, you just mess it up. You have to start again. Okay, so I'm going to weigh my sodium hydroxide. Now, whoops, you see, it's very easy to forget these things, especially because I'm very used to gloves, of course, and the cleaning gloves. Not the latex or vinyl gloves. One use cooking glove, no, this one, okay? So I'm going to put here, it's 13.5, I'm going to put 14. 14. It's flashing, so it will be a decimal. Close it, get out of the way. So this is what you do, you separate, you weigh separate. This is very important, okay? Because then we will pour the sodium hydroxide in the water, never the other way around, never ever. Tar to 0, 38 water. Perfect. I'm going to move the webcam. So basically here we have all the ingredients way. Okay, you have the 3 ingredients. This will be here. Make the solution. I will do it, and I won't be talking much because the sodium hydroxide solution release fumes, right? And so you inhale it. It's really, even with a mask, you will inhale it and you kind of feel the tingle in your throat. And I have the oil. So once I have the solution here, this solution, I will pour it into the oil. That's always the order, always. So this is no matter what formula, what type of soap you're making, this is the method always. I will have the mixture here and I will start blending. I have a very powerful one, but it can be any, you know, any stick blender. And I will blend up to the point to get the what is called trace. Don't worry, I can spell it later, okay? Because now I can't write trace, which is the custard. Now this is a very, again, primitive, simple soap, so it will take long to get the trace point, to get thick, right? So you can even pour it in your mold, because it's just mold soap. I will use, if you don't want to use a plastic, that's because I have some glasses somewhere, so I reuse it. Or the best thing is to reuse the you know, the bottom of the carton milk, okay? And so I will use this. Now after pouring the soap here, the best thing is what I call to put in a baby in my I call it baby coat. No, I call it soap coat. Sorry, like a baby coat, because I have a cardboard box. Then I cover with cardboard, and then with a blanket to insulate the soap. And the soap need to, like we say, sleep for 24 hours, 48 hours, 2 days. So on Monday, I will unmold the soap and then let it to cure in a plate or a shelf, with air, to cure it for 4 to 6 weeks. Now this soap sometimes take more, again, because it's very primitive, basic, and the formula wouldn't be the best. A year in the old times, the way they do olive oil soap and all that, takes weeks and weeks and weeks, until it gets really hard and proper cure. But that has to do because of the formula, really. But don't worry, because you will learn how to make other soap that doesn't require, and also there are tricks as well. That's the tricks as well to calculate, to reduce the water and to make it. But I'm not going to complicate it for the moment, okay? Because so I'm going to be making now this. Oh, another tip, important thing, before I forget, is you should have vinegar in a spray bottle, little towels, tea towels. If you have a spillage everywhere, or if you're set, it's good to always wear long sleeve. If you don't, sometimes I don't, and if it's spilled, the sodium hydroxide solution, it can sting. So you can just rinse with cold water. But for the surface, the vinegar neutralizes sodium hydroxide. When I clean and finish, I will just clean with vinegar, which is very practical. Okay, so I'm going to put the sodium hydroxide in the water. You need to stir and without stopping, because otherwise the sodium hydroxide gets crystallized on the bottom and it's very hard. So don't stop stirring from the moment you pour in. It requires more quantity, so it's quite easy. But when you have bigger quantity bags to make soap, it's very easy that when you pour the sodium hydroxide, it stays here and you will sit like a rock. So don't stop stirring. Okay. Okay, so look, this is important. I put you see, put it here, and I start blending. Now, one thing that if you are watching, observing something important, I'm not moving the stick blender like I'm making a mayonnaise or any other sauce. You need to touch the bottom. Don't move it too much. And you can also put it this a little bit like that, so you don't have air coming in. It's a little bit thicker now, but it's pourable, it's still pourable. And I'm not going to do it any longer because actually it's just like I said, a very basic soap, just to show you the basic process, the standard process, and the standard, very simple basic soap for you to understand. I'm going to put it here at the moment. I'm going to put it here. This is a great mold because it has a special linen lining. And then you just, what you do is, I'll show you before I pour. You on Monday, you cut in 2 days or a few days more in this type of soap. You cut the corners like this and open, and you get your soap out of the mold. And it's great for when you are formulating a new soap and you're not sure how it's going to end up. Instead of making half kilo soap, you just always make 100 grams, which is practical, and which is normally this amount. The bottom of the carton is, you'll see now, is exactly more or less 100 grams, okay? And if you want to use a spatula, I recommend the silicone because you can scrape every bit, okay? You can use also cling film to cover, right? But I don't like to use plastic. I normally do. And because this is very small, what I'm going to do is, you see I have a cardboard box. I'm going to put it inside here. I'm going to cover with this. And then with the Peppa Pig blanket. This is my blanket for many years to make soap. And what are we doing with this is speeding up and helping saponification action, right? So it is nice and warm. In Ireland, people, well, sometimes I do it as well, you can put the hot in a box or even in the blanket and in a hot press, because you need a warm, dry place. Okay, no air, no humidity, very important. Okay, that's what it's called a sleeping period for the soap. Now, second soap, that's going to be more interesting. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to use a Paris jar. We need heat in this soap. Why? Because we are using some butters, so we need it to melt it. Now, recipe for half kilo of this soap, because I want to show you a couple of things later, so I want to make a bigger batch. 150 grams of coconut oil, okay, you got it in Walmart, or you can get it in any supermarket, any coconut oil, the solid one, the normal one. 150 grams. Then how much? 225 grams of olive oil and 125 of shea butter. Then we have 190 of water. And then we have 70 of sodium hydroxide. Okay. So I'm going to start weighing the ingredients. And I will use a Pyrex jar, which is heat proof, because I'm going to put it directly on my electric hob. And of course I have to keep an eye because it's very easy to forget and can explode. You can do bain-marie as well. So if you don't want to risk. It's good that the coconut butter is a really affordable ingredient. Our shea butter will be more expensive. And with coconut, you can always make any soap, really. The only thing is, with coconut oil, you need to mix all the ingredients that are emollient and moisturizing, because otherwise it's too cleansing. It can be too detergent. And believe it or not, it can dry out your skin. So I don't like to put it in a very high rate concentration. I just put it more for the soap hardness, right? And because I think people believe that coconut oil is so popular, it's not actually moisturizing much. It's really light conditioning. Okay. Oh well, I will buy, because well, you can just weigh everything separate, but I'm going just to put it together. Now you see that it's quite a lot here, okay? That has to be completely melted to get into the liquid state. Perfect. So now I'm going to put this on the heat. I have to go to my lab. It's going to be a little bit far away, but I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to, in the meantime, actually there's no rush because it's going to take some time, and then we have to cool down a little bit as well. Enough. Now I have, we say 70 Coca-Cola, again a different spoon, so we don't mix ingredients, okay? Sorry, I have to put it back again. And the solution is going to get really hot because it causes an exothermic reaction, the sodium hydroxide with water, so the water reach a high temperature. The important thing here is that you keep an eye, it is direct heat without bain-marie. Keep an eye that as soon as it gets completely liquid, remove from the heat, of course. And otherwise, if it goes over the 80, okay, well, 70, let's say 75 degrees, if it goes over 75, you're burning the oils, right? And the coconut oil will melt quicker than the shea butter. So look here, because I used before, it's a little bit moist. You have to make sure that everything goes in. Otherwise, you are discounting more sodium hydroxide. And we already have a 5% super fatting in this recipe. Now the solution, the sodium hydroxide solution is done. You see, very well dissolved. Even through the gloves, I can feel it's quite hot. I have thermometer here. Now, because there's one thing important when you're using heat and you're melting butter for the soap, is that the water, well, in any type of soap, the two phases, the sodium hydroxide solution and the oil phase, they have to be 50 degrees, around 50, to mix it. If they are higher, you create a volcano okay? And you burn the whole soap and you have to start again. And you can also splash, you know, you can get a splash and cause an accident. So that is that's why I like to show this soap for different reasons. You have a different recipe, different ingredient, but also go through the heat. I keep looking at the jar, no? I don't know if you're able to see on the screen. Can you see the temperature? It's 70, nearly 70, right? That is too hot. So you wouldn't use it. Now, the water solution, the light solution, sorry, it will cool down quite quickly, right? Especially I have everything open, it's fine. The oils, it will get a little bit longer, but I will put it on the floor. If you put it on the floor, it's always cooler. And so I have my light solution, I'll put it out of the way so I don't have any problem. Actually, I'm going to change the jar because I need this bigger jar to actually blend the soap, the two phases, okay? So I have the sodium hydroxide solution here, out of the way, so it's no accidents. This is prepared for the blending, and I'm keeping an eye in the oil. So I actually haven't gone to that part because I'm looking after the process, and then I can of course explain more things. Yes, the additives part of the soap, okay, what I'm explaining here of course is the base soap formula and process. The additive part is when it's blended and it comes to trays, and you will see in this soap that we come to tray will get thick quite quickly because of shea butter and coconut. That is the moment that you have you can be creative, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a technique that you can use. You can add essential oils in that moment. You can use powders, clays. Some people I have here, for example, oatmeal, you know, or even in an oat for exfoliating effects. You can use, I have charcoal, so you tint your soap in black or gray. I have coffee grounds. The list is endless. I'm going to use wheatgrass. What I'm going to do is when I blend this soap, I'm going to separate in 2 jars, and the other jar, the other half, I'm going to put kaolin, which is white clay. So to get, and then I will use, checking, it's getting melted. I'm going to use this for the half. Maybe it's too small, maybe I have more. I recycle this carton milk this way, cut it this way, and it's great for a loaf of soap. And then when we unmold it, we cut it in bars. Now, with essential oil, what happened is that not all essential oil will stick to the soap. That means that after the curing period, that normally is 4 or 6 weeks, and after reacting with the sodium hydroxide, the essential oil that doesn't really stay. You won't really, and you need, as the guideline, you need 30 grams of essential oils per kilo. Okay? I can write down here. 30 grams of essential oils. So you imagine it's like 3 little bottles per kilo of oils. That's the ratio, okay? And also another trick, just to don't waste your essential oils, is to always choose the one that they are strong high notes, top note, and not only the top note. It can be the one that is stronger. I mean, like lemongrass, peppermint, the heavy one, the strongest one. Work well, right? But if you want, for example, to put mandarin, it's just wasting. Something is Look, it's totally melted. It's just a little tiny. Actually, I'm very brave to do this myself. Okay, I'm going to put it here because it's really hot. I have the oil phase here. Everything is melted. And I have a perfect, let me see if it's top 50, I don't know if you can see it, 50, 53, 54. I think I'm going to wait just a few minutes more. So go 50 and a little bit under. Okay, that just to make sure it's not too hot to mix the two. And I'm going, sorry, I only have one because thermometer. It's good to have more. I just broke my thermometers. And I'm checking the sodium hydroxide solution. It's actually perfect because now is 45. Great. So I'm going to get ready with my safety. Right. So we have, I'm going to pour, like I said before, right? I'm going to put the oil in this big jar. Got the mask. And so I have more space to blend. Okay. And I want to put this here. And okay, so again, we come back always to the same methods. Sodium hydroxide solution, oil phase. Always this into this. I will blend, and it will come to trace actually much quicker because it's a balanced soap. I formulate this soap myself with taking into account all the properties, okay? So when it's just nice and thick, I'm going to separate it, actually a little bit oil here. I'm going to separate it in two, the batter is called, the mixture, and I will add some additives for color. I could add the essential oils as well if I want, and then I will pour it here, okay? And then after pouring here, I will spray, and this is something I sometimes forget, isopropyl alcohol to seal the top. And you'll see what I'm going to do, because I want to put two layers also, one white and another one green, okay? So between the two layers, and that way you do normally in melt and pour the same, isopropyl alcohol just to seal, to create a little bit of a barrier. But also on the top, it creates a barrier from the carbon dioxide that it created in the air, which it can affect to the soap and provoke create soda ash. Okay. All right. Now it's not trace yes yet, it's going to happen in a few minutes, because even if I stop and leave the soap there, it will start to set more and more, okay, especially because with butter. So, and I want actually to be pourable still, so I can work with the colors, well, with the clay as well. In this case, the clay will have an effect in the soap because it has a physical effect, okay? And it's lovely on the skin. It can be any other clay or any other color. I love green clay, but I don't have. So I'm going to put a kind of a tablespoon. This is like the kind that I don't weigh, you know. And I'm going to put the white clay in 1 cup. Exactly, yeah. Or essential oils or anything. And then here in this one, I'm going to put wheat grass. You get this in the supermarket. It's a beautiful green. And again, I'll write down when I finish now, because then you forget really quickly what you have put. That is a tablespoon more or less. But the correct way is to weigh everything. It's the only way you know how to do the formula exactly the same again the second time. Now it's quite leaky because if you're constantly moving, you're adding heat actually. But if I leave it to set, it will get solid. Just to show you one of the examples of additives, you know, it can be many other things. So I'm going to put the white, doesn't matter really, this is all just the creativity. The kid size spatulas are amazing for this type of job, and also for skincare. I use it a lot. So this is one. I spray. I'm going to wait just a couple of minutes because I want it a little to set. Because if I put too soon, it will mix. It will create a different effect, of course, as well. But I just want to kind of create a more defined line between the two soaps. Sorry, the two layers. Now I will need the forced space, so I'm going to get this out. I have many wool spreads. This is something that I put together many years ago, but now they actually sell bedded one. So this is actually just a tin cloth, okay? That of course I don't use it for baking anymore. And then I had the silicone. So the thing is, you use this silicone as it is. When you pour, it will expand like that. So your love soap, it won't stay straight. So I had the idea to put it like this, so I can make a nice love. But the one that I recommend, that is now they are selling everywhere, is the one that is wooden. Okay, this part will be completely wooden, completely straight, and they have already the silicone inserted. Okay, and then they have also the lid, the wood top lid, and that's, I mean, like soapmaking has evolved so much, so you can find anything nowadays, and that will be the perfect one. Those are the one that you might see in YouTube with some professional soap makers, that you will end up with a beautiful bar, a square, seamless, and then you just cut it. You can cut it with a knife, or you get a soap cutter as well. Again, there are many sophisticated ones now. The one with the wire are the best because they don't leave any scratch, any mark, no, as you go. So this is it's getting, I don't know if you can see, but it's getting a little bit thicker and thicker, setting, right? So I'm going to chance it, and this is setting again as well a little bit. So I'm going just to put it on top. I might put this so you can see it. All right. You will think a little bit. I can see that already, but anyway, it will create effects. So it's just weird to work sitting down, really. No, it's going to mix, but I'm making a kind of swirl. So I won't know until Monday that I unmold it, how it looks. It's going to look cool, and it's going to be amazing soap for the skin. Let me see. I normally used to do a swirl, but I don't know if it's going to happen with this. It's not solid yet. No. It's not solid yet. So what I do is, for example, if I want to do a top, like something nice, like a little swirl, or something like to give a different final touch, I have to wait few minutes until it gets thicker. So then I can just maybe with the back of the spoon, I can make little techniques. But these all will be aesthetic part. And the aesthetic part is unlimited, and you can get so many ideas, you can inspire from many people. But the most important thing here, and that's what I like coming back to the beginning, is to teach how to formulate your soap. Okay, that's a really, really important part. That's where it all begins, and that's where you make sure that you have a bar with all the properties and enough heart. Because the problem with the soap, the most common problem is, I'm going to take this, is that the soap is not hard enough. And you're going to mold it and it's too soft, or even after curing, the soap is too soft, right? And that is one of the most difficult properties to achieve in the soap, okay? Especially when you want to experiment with different ingredients, or your idea, your creativity, everyone has different ideas. So the formulation skill is very important, how to formulate properly. So now, normally in my workshops in person, I would dedicate, after doing all this and having fun, an hour to explain how to use a soap calculator digital. That is amazing, okay? That makes your job much easier and professional, and you can just play and have fun. If I have a soap making ebook, if you want to get it at some point, I have 10 formulas, all different soaps. For example, I even have a soap with beeswax, because you can use beeswax as well in the oil phase. Of course, melt it, because that's add hard. That's another trick, I using a little bit beeswax. It gives nice finish to the soap. You can use sodium lactate as well in the water to harden the soap. You can discount water, but that's take all practice and experiment, and of course, you learn by also making mistakes and failure. That's the only way you learn. So the soap making ebook has the whole explanation that everything I did today. It has I'm trying to remember everything that's there. Yeah, and I explain a lot of tips, explain a lot of troubleshooting, and there is a link for the soap calculator that for me is the best in the comparing to many others that I have found in internet. And there is a link there and it's self-explanatory how you can use it step by step, and it's amazing, precious tool. So if you get the ebook, and some people figure out themselves, no problem, okay, like I did. I studied and I figured out myself until I got it right years ago. But if someone of you maybe already have my soap making ebook, I think. So if you don't understand the calculator, it's no problem for me to do a Zoom meeting for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, and I can explain. I would do that in the computer because I could share the screen and I could explain to you how you use it, okay? But it's fantastic. That's what I use. Many years ago, when I started making soap, I did everything manually. So you imagine making all the maths, calculating everything. And so the soap calculator give you already, before you start making the soap, it give you already the formula, and it give you the values and tells you where is wrong or what you should change and what you have to play up to give you the closest perfect soap. Otherwise you have to be experimenting and wasting time and ingredients and everything. So it's absolutely essential if you don't want to follow recipes, or you want to create your own formula. And that's all really. And another thing important, I think I said before as well, is of course everything you do when you create your formula and you make the soap, take note of everything, even the silliest thing that happened during the process, like your last notebook. and you have as a reference for next time, even if it's something good happen, if it's something bad, or if you turn out like me, months, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I had a lot of pumpkin seed oil that a friend gave me. It was rancid. I said, okay, I'm going to make soap so I don't waste it. And it gave me a really soft soap and a horrible color. And I said, no, what? Okay, so I learned that way. You know, that's how you learn. So you write it down, your results, your evaluation. And I know it sounds silly, but it's very, very easy to overlook this step and not writing down. Because when you are in your creative zone, yeah, oh yeah, I mixed this, but what did I do? And so your lab note is precious because it will contain everything that you are experimenting, everything that you discover, the new effects, whatever you want to add, or I don't know. People put in the soap so many crazy stuff, and it's really, really cool, you know. And another thing that I forgot to mention, in the water, in the sodium hydroxide solution, you also have the chance to, I mean, you can be creative and replace the water for different things, you know, like people do with milk, or I made it myself the other day, with coconut milk. Some people do goat milk. Now with milk, just be careful. If milk is high in sugar, naturally it will react with sodium hydroxide, and it will create, it will increase the temperature a lot. So it will kind of heat too much, and then you have to always balance the temperature of the two phases. As you saw in my second soap, they have to be 50 degrees or less. You never make a soap over 50 degrees phases. So with goat milk, I know, or maybe some people make it with beer or Guinness that has sugar react with sodium hydroxide. Be careful with the temperature. So if you're using milk or beer, it has to be really, really cold, even from the freezer, you know, if you want to make a soap with milk in particular. And try to remember other many scenarios that you can find yourself, you know. But anyway, if you follow the guideline, the foundation that you have learned today, and take it from there, then you can create wonderful soaps. And I'll show you actually different soaps, already finished soaps. I have all in the box. I have so many. And actually I can see the papaya soap is fading away the color. Okay. So the Pringles, it works so cool because you put the batter, the mixture in the, the Pringles work this way, right? You have to, first of all, you have the Pringles upright, you put it upside down, seal the bottom would be the top, you know, the plastic lid, put in the bottom, then cut around the bottom, put the batter, the soap, and then of course cover and keep it insulated. Now, to unmold that is you just start. I don't have any Pringles actually here. So you start from a little corner, and in a spiral you just unpeel it. Okay, but what it's kind of sometimes can be hard to do that. So what I do is I put parchment paper, you call it. I put it. I just cut a piece and pull it around inside the tube, and then it's much easier to just unwrap, you know, the carton tube, and then you just unpeel the paper, right? And that will give you this type of shape, and then you just cut it with a knife, or, you know, this one is wheatgrass, and again, it was much greener, but now it's fading. This is what happened with natural plants. Sometimes the color don't stick. This is with coconut milk, so it's quite white. And what's the other one? Yeah, this papaya. This is coconut. Now from this, you can make really amazing soaps. It's about creativity. It's about to get the formula right, and the quantities right with water, with the sodium hydroxide, superfatting, the saponification value of the oils you use. Start with small batches, you know, so you don't waste ingredients and time. And when and then you of course scale up, you know, you make bigger batches. And I hope that you make beautiful soaps, and well, you're going to be squeaky clean anyway, no problem. And I suggest, without getting into polemic, I would suggest that I recommend that you use soap instead of sanitizer gel for the skin, for the hands, all right? It's much better, and it works great. So thank you again. So anything, draw me an email if it not something wasn't clear. I'll send you an email in a few days, maybe, if you want to get your soapmaking ebook, or later another moment. If you want to learn this, if you have a problem with the soap calculator, and it's no problem, we can always arrange something and explain to you. And also, if you are in Dublin and you want to come one day to practice some soap, I'm open here to welcome anyone. So to make any soap, right? Okay.